Greetings, class. My name is Ron Anthony. I'm currently a principal of a middle school in North Carolina. My school has grades 5 through 8, and I want to talk about the article or the book that we read, chapters 1 and 2, on the Darling Hammond book. First thing I want to say is that I think that the author put out a great argument. I think that education in America is lagging behind. I think that the system that we're using is outdated. You think about education, and I can even speak of the schedules. And I know some schools and some school districts are using different schedules. However, in America, traditionally we still use the same model. And what I mean by that is month model. Students start in September, into August, 2 weeks out for Christmas, week out for Easter, and so forth. And it's basically based on the farming schedule. So I believe that it is time for innovative changes to take place. I think it's time for sweeping reforms to take place. And I believe that the author has highlighted some areas of concern. Internationally, our students are lagging behind in test scores. Our students are lagging behind in the sciences and the maths. And with the current system that we're under and the current job format that is being produced, as the author alluded to, information is being replicated and duplicated at such astounding speeds that is hard to comprehend what exactly is taking place. The Library of Congress is being reproduced something like 500,000 times a year what is actually in circulation. So I mean, that's a lot of information that's being produced, and for us to have to educate our students and have them ready to compete globally, it should be the focus of American schools. I'm talk to you about a couple of concerns I have based on my experience in education. I'm sorry that I'm moving the camera around, but I see that the fan in the background is causing some problems, so I just want to make sure you got a good view. So let's talk about some of my experiences in education. As a middle school principal, I had my eyes open in the last 3 years. This is my third year as a principal. As a teacher, or even as an assistant principal, I wasn't exposed to the true depths of the job that I am now. I'm an idealist. My brother told me that I believe in right or wrong. I hold people to certain standards. I have expectations for what takes place. And I believe that children should come first. Everything that we should do should be based on serving our students and making sure they're placed in a position to be successful at school. Sometimes I don't feel that we do that. I had a couple of questions. I'm gonna, as I get to the end of the video, questions I would have for the author. I hope, I would love to get these answered. I'm actually gonna do some research myself to find out. But you know, as we create or as we produce students or educate our students to be competitive globally, to compete for jobs that don't exist, to compete for and to make them problem solvers for problems that don't exist yet, is a two-sided sword, and it cuts both ways. I was reading in the article that talked about teachers. So the first issue I want to address is highly qualified, highly motivated teachers. That I believe that the American education system is under attack. It's hard to find qualified teachers, and honestly, if I was a recent college grad, I don't know if I would major in education. I had the opportunity to step away from education for a year, but I was already bitten by the bug. So I taught for a couple of years, took a job with the government for a year, wasn't happy about that, came back to education because I missed the kids and missed the impact that I had. But if I was reading the literature that's out today, I don't believe that I would pursue a job in education. Teachers aren't respected. They are taken for granted. They are disrespected. It's one thing to not be respected, but to be disrespected is totally different. It's hard to find quality teachers just on that part. And then the lack of funding or the lack of money that is placed into salaries for teachers. In our building, we have about 9 new teachers. And when I say new teachers, I mean BT1s, brand new to BT3s. Many of these, or all of them, actually have part-time jobs to cover because they don't make enough money throughout the month to making them. We're not talking about money management. We're just talking about a lack of salary to support student loans or to support buying a vehicle or buying a house or renting a property to live and having some money to purchase items. So I believe that that's out of alignment in order for our schools to be successful or for our students to be successful. You have to have highly trained, highly qualified teachers. I believe that we still have, we have bright teachers, but I believe that the cream of the crop, the mathematicians and the engineers are going into math and engineering. They're going into medical science or some other industries. They're not coming back to the classroom to inspire and support the next generation of student. So that's the first issue that I believe that we have to address. We have to get the respect back into the profession, and we have to make sure that we're giving the or allocating the resources to the profession to make it meaningful and worthwhile for new teachers to want to take this endeavor on. It's gonna take a total different innovative approach to it. I also believe that we need to look at the current scheduling of how we schedule schools and how we schedule students. And to give you an idea, we have some students, that they're not going to be successful past 12 o'clock. So we need to think about maybe moving their time up. We have some students that aren't successful in the morning. We need to think about bringing them in later in the afternoon. We need to think about those students that just need to get the math and sciences, English and social studies, and not participate in other parts of the day and have a modified schedule for them. We have to really be innovative about this and really be creative. There's something to be said about the multi-track system. I know some larger counties have year-round schools, and those schools have their merit and they have their value. We need to, as a whole, examine that and see if that is a possibility, or if we need to change our whole schedule to reflect a year-round approach instead of being a 10-year profession, or maybe this needs to be a 12-year profession that students are in school 12 months a year. They take small breaks throughout the year to be successful. So those are some of the innovative practices that we can take to be more successful as educators. Next, what do I think about where do you think we should focus our energies in order to improve education? I think we just talked about that. I think we need to put more money in salaries and recruiting higher qualified teachers. I really don't. Also, the teacher preparation programs, we need to put more value into those. The teachers that are coming out of the programs have value, but I just think that we can add a little more to it, a little more rigor to those programs. But in order, when you add that rigor, you have to add the reward on the other side as well. So if I'm going to, go through a rigorous program to be a highly qualified teacher, I think I need to get paid a competent salary. I need to get paid a competitive salary, and there needs to be value made. We also need to do things as far as paying more for teachers that go to Title I schools or the low-income schools, and shifting funding there sometimes with no strings attached. I know that's kind of scary because to give people money without any type of stipulations can be interesting. But I give an example once again, going back to part two, connecting my argument to my own experience. We have ESL students in the building. The ESL department gets additional funds. We're a Title I school. ESL department receives additional funds for technology. So let's just give an example. They have like 60 computers, 60 laptops that are sitting in our school. We only have 40 ESL students, and those 40 students are the only ones that can touch those 60 laptops. So I can't take those 60 laptops and put them out into the population legally and be successful. So that funding, that's a great idea to provide our English language learners. However, it'd be great to be able to use those resources for all students in the building, because all tax dollars some kind of way touched into that ESL pot. So to get some of those issues out of our way, that's where I will focus my energy. My next question, or the extension to my argument, would be how is the testing done? In the article, it talked a lot about these various tests, that international tests are being taken by our students. I'm trying to pull one up now, the PISA scores and those tests. So I would like to know how do those students compare? And I mean, is that a true apples to apple, or do they have a EC population? Are those EC students included? Do they have ESL students, or do they have students with disadvantages included, or are they just taking their brightest students? Because I know communist countries kind of do things differently. So that would be my only question or critique about that. I do have a concern as well, and I'm just basically concerned about the direction that we're heading as a profession. And I'm ready for some innovative changes, some innovative ideas to be introduced. That's why I got into the business as a school leader. That's why I'm pursuing my doctorate degree to get to a district level position where I can truly impact change. So thank you for taking time to listen out. If you have any questions, please email me at rba9544 at uncw.edu. Thank you. Have a good evening.